talk about joiner safety and how to use this joiner. First and foremost, making sure you got your safety glasses on, no loose clothing, don't wear gloves when using this machine. So this is an 8-inch wide joiner, meaning you face joint an 8-inch wide board or smaller. If you have a wider board, you're going to have to go over the bands off, cut it in half, do something different with it to be able to fit on here. So joining the board, so most boards we get are rough sawn like this, and when they dry, they're going to get some sort of cup, some sort of twist in it, maybe a bow in it, and we need to get that one face to be flat and true. So we use this joiner to do that, and then we'll go and get an edge true at 90 degrees to that face next. Once we have the board in that condition, then we can go use any of the other tools more safely. So the way this machine operates, the on button is this green button, the off is this outer ring, a little strange off button. In feet table, out feet table. The out feet table is exactly the same height as these cutter heads. So these cutters are little carbide cutters that are on kind of a cylindrical, a cylinder, kind of a spiral pattern. This fence here should be 90 degrees to this. If you're, say, wanting to glue a bunch of boards together to make a wide table, you want to make sure that this is 90 degrees, because if it's not, then putting those boards together, you'll end up getting more of a barrel shape rather than a flat shape. So what I like to do is just put a square up against here. I'll sight down here. You can see light at the top and the bottom. If that's so, you loosen this lever and just turn this crank and then tighten it back up. To raise and lower this end feet table, normally this end feet table you want to be set up about a 1/16 of an inch per cut. But you loosen this and then you raise and lower this handle. And right now it's kind of set so you can't go more than 1/8 inch cut at a time. And that's because this machine is a little bit underpowered. If you try to take off too much material too quickly, you'll bog down the motor and trip the breaker. So I'm going to set it at about a 1/16 of an inch cut, and I'll lock that lever back down. So first we're going to face joint this board. Now this board here has a cup in it this way, and you want that to be brownie face down. If you have it the other way, as you're pushing it across here, it'll start to rock and you lose a little bit of control over the board. Anytime you lose control on the board, it's not safe. So I'm going to put this brownie face down. Now if it had a bow this way, you also would want to brownie face down. So I'm going to put it like that, and I'm going to use push sticks. You always have to use push sticks. So this one here has a little heel at the end of it that can push the board. This paddle just puts my hand a little bit above the blades and keeps it safe. We have something called the 3-inch rule, where we don't want your hands any closer than 3 inches to any blades. So this elevates our hands. You might see sometimes on other videos people will put their hand on top of the board and push it like that. But there's a chance that this board could have a knot or a nail in it that would hit those blades, throw the board out, or as you're pushing it, your hand can slip and go into the blades. So we're always going to use a paddle here. And my stance, I'm just kind of holding it and just kind of walking it across the blades. So you don't want to stand here and lean. You want to have good balance, good stability. So first of all, I'm going to turn the dust collector on. We always use dust collectors for any of the big stationary power tools. So I'll do that, and on this post here, there's an on button. I'll turn that on. And this may get a little bit loud. If it's too loud for you, please put on hearing protection. So after one pass, you can see it barely touch the edges of the board. So I need to keep doing that until most of this board is flat. I can have probably 90% of the board flat and then safely move to the next upgrade. So I'm going to do this a couple more times. Turn everything back on. So now I've got this board flat and true. If you notice, also when I was pushing this, I pushed it all the way past this so that this could go back and swing up against the fence and over the blades before I picked it up. So this safety device is important. Make sure this is operational and working properly. So now that I have this board flat, I'm going to go and joint an edge. And I want that edge to be 90 degrees to this face. This edge could have a bow in it, and if it does, you want it there again, frowning face down. So what I want this flat face to be up against this fence, and that will give us a 90 degrees on this edge. But I can do it a couple of different ways. One, I can take my left hand and kind of spread it out and push up against the fence and push with my right hand, and I'm pushing it with the heel of my right hand. I don't want to get in the habit of blocking my fingers under like this, and then as the board gets shorter, my finger gets closer. But I want my my hand up high on the board. Also, this board is taller than the fence. So my hand being on the top is pretty safe. If it slips, it may get this. As the board gets shorter, and below this fence, then you no longer want to push with your right hand, just the palm of your hand. You want to then take a push stick. And I'll demonstrate that in a minute. So here's the one way is to use your fingers like this. And you want to make sure that your hand doesn't start sliding with the board. Your hand is glued to the table. Then after the board gets past your hand like this, then you stop, bring your hand to the other side, and push it here. So I want to make sure that this board is up against the fence. I don't want it slide with a gap here at the bottom or tipping this way, because then I'd lose my 90 degrees. So you can watch me demonstrate that. That double hand method only works when the board is taller than the fence. So now I have a flat face, a straight edge. I can go over to the planer, the table saw, the bandsaw, and use those a lot better, a lot more safe. I'm going to demonstrate the shorter board, edge joining it, so you can see how I do that. So this board has been jointed on this face, and I'm going to edge joint this. And this time I'm going to use a push stick because the board is shorter here. So I'm going to push it like this with my hand here, and I'm going to stop, bring my hand around. Now this edge is true and 90 degrees to this face. thing also I want to talk about is board size. We have minimum requirements. If the board is thinner than 3/8 of an inch, we're not going to face joint it on here. If the board is shorter than 1 foot long, we're not going to join it on here. Come to me, I'll help show you how to use a hand plane to do that. Smaller boards are really a little more dangerous to machine than bigger boards at times. So once you're done with this machine, obviously turn the dust collector off, make sure the machine's turned off. You might have a little bit of dust around on the ground. Get the shop vac cleaned up. That's it for the joiner. Please watch my other videos. Thank you very much.